Okay, hello everybody. Welcome once again to another conversation on eruption. Today I'm with Anu Afolabi. He is the founder of Scholarship IQ, and we'll just be talking about like studying abroad and scholarship opportunities for Nigerians in this very interesting Japa season.
I know,
um,
right?
but not for Japa people only. Okay, I know we'll just start with like an introduction of yourself, right? Who you are, where you're from, the schools you attended, right? Home
Mm,
abroad.
yeah. Well, I just want to echo what you said, Musa. Thanks a lot for listening to all the listeners out there. Thanks for listening to this, and Musa, thank you for having me. I think we met about 2 years ago, so like that. I'm glad about 2 years ago, 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see how the conversations have really evolved. And so thanks a lot for having me here today. And well done with what you're doing in Eruption. We had conversations a bit earlier about the vision and how you're moving forward with this thing. And I'm incredibly proud of what you've achieved so far. And I'm even more excited for what lies ahead for Eruption. For me, well, my name is Aanuoluwapo. So I'm from Nigeria, and pretty I like to call myself the Ife boy. So I grew up in Ife, in Osun State, and I had the opportunity to leave Nigeria. That was in 2011. I was fortunate to be the only one that was selected on Global Korea Scholarship, and what that meant for me was a fully funded education to study in South Korea for my undergraduate. And what I like to say, and I don't want to get a bit sentimental or emotional talking about this, is for me, when I left Nigeria in 2011, it was much more than just getting access to quality education or free education. I think it also meant something to my community and my family, because I grew up from a very, from a very, from a very poor background, and being able to have access to what I got access to was a source of inspiration for my family and for my community. That indeed something better is out there, and I think that's something that defines me whenever I introduce myself, that I'm not just one that obviously there's the Japa, but I'm also someone that is a testament to what is possible if you remain, if you keep working hard and you keep, grinding till you get what you want to get. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
All right. So I like to like focus on schools very well, right? So let's start with if you did it like you say you grew up in Ife,
Right,
did your primary school or your second primary and secondary, right? What
right,
school did you attend? Were you an art student? Were you a science student? What were your
right. You
educational?
wanna go, you wanna go all the way back, huh?
Yeah, back in the days.
No, so yeah, for me, I did my primary school in Nigeria. I went to a school called Good News Nursery Primary School, and it was a private school, and what that meant was that my parents had to go. They used to do cooperative. I'm not sure if some of your listeners will be familiar with that. For them to get loans, so they can send my siblings to private schools. So yeah, so I did my primary school in Nigeria, and I did my secondary school as well in Nigeria, and the school is called Ambassadors College in Ife as well. And I was a social science slash
Was
arts.
that a prophecy? Ambassadors College. Was it a prophecy for you? You now became
Woo.
chief
um
ambassador.
well, maybe I don't know. Maybe. So yeah, so I was a social science like art student. And I would say I would say that was a choice that I really, that I'm glad that I did, because there was a conversation around me going to science, because growing up in Ife, and what you're mostly familiar with is Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU. What most people will encourage you to do is go study, go to science class so you can be a doctor. That's kind of like the popular what you would say as a popular profession. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a social science slash art student.
Okay, nice. Was Ambassadors College like day school or boarding school?
Or it was a day school. I
Oh,
don't think my parents could afford a boarding school.
oh,
So no, because
oh,
that means they would have to pay for my boarding, like the day to day. I'm eating 3 meals a day, and
yeah.
that's not something that I can afford growing up. So it's
Wow.
better to go to a day school.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when the boarding school I went to, it wasn't okay. I mean, and in Abuja, for example, right? It's like you get Abuja
How you talk.
have ridiculous boarding school prices. Like some people's lifetime education fuck? Somebody's
Right.
watching. Right, but I mean, like the boys' school I went to was very affordable to a large extent. Like I was even shocked when I saw the school fees. Like, this is this price. How are you sustaining us?
Right.
But I mean, it was a faith-based school, so probably that was why.
Yeah,
As well.
mine too was in play school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All
That
right.
was kind of helped a lot actually.
It was what? Sorry.
And it was what helped a lot. And
Oh,
maybe it's not, this is TMI. But the way my parents used to pay our tuition fee was that we had one of the proprietors of the school.
mm,
So he would stand for me and my siblings. So because we can't pay the tuition fee immediately that term. So he
mm,
would stand in for us as the guarantor so that we would pay when it's a new term, then we'll pay for the previous term. So that's so that's kind of what helped because if it were not to be a faith-based school, I'm not sure. I think it's kind of, I would argue it's weird to
interesting.
find someone that would do that for you, just out of the goodness of your heart, without anything in return. So yeah, so that kind of helped.
Shout out to proprietor Ambassadors College.
I know. I know.
Nice. Okay. We like to ask this on eruption, right? Just because of what we are. What do you think about being and then feeling Nigeria in the 21st century? We'll come soon to your study abroad experience,
Well,
but
absolutely. When I saw that question, I was like, "Yeah, Musa, you're being very philosophical." Are we having
I want to
philosophical
bring that
debate?
out of you.
Uh, well, being Nigerian and feeling Nigerian in the 21st century, I would say I would say there's a part of me that feels very optimistic. And I think the reason why I feel very optimistic is when I think about being a Nigerian as in my generation, I think my generation is we're extremely global. In comparison to perhaps arguably to my dad's or to my mom's or previous
Mhm.
generation. And I think what that means is being in Nigeria does not just fit into me growing up in Ife or and maybe I belong to a generation of those things.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just think being a Nigerian is not just only circled around me living in Nigeria.
Mm.
Like even me being abroad, I still feel very much Nigerian because of the cultural attachment that I have to it. So I would say being Nigerian is um embracing my own culture as a Yoruba boy and and my own nationality as a Nigerian, but at the same time being very cognizant of what lies on the global stage and
Mm.
how do I and really navigating the opportunities on the global stage to my own country and perhaps to the continent at large. So that's what it feels more being a Nigerian. But that doesn't come without saying that being a Nigerian can also be very, very disappointing sometimes because I remember flying through Singapore one time before,
Yeah.
and one of the immigration officers saw my passport, and it was like, "Please step aside." And Musa, I get this a lot.
Oh my God.
I get this a
They're
lot.
like, it's green. Push
Uh,
that.
or in the UK, in Istanbul, like I get this a lot. They just saw my passport and they were like, "Please step aside." And the guy just came because he saw I was going to visit, Cambridge, and he saw everything. I was like, I'm really sorry about this. What's just happened is a lot of Nigerians, when they come into Singapore, they come with fake passports. So they went to bring a machine to check if my passport was actually legit or not.
Oh my God.
So while I am optimistic about being a Nigerian, it can also be very sad
Mm.
because of the reality of the embarrassment that you face outside the country because of the labor that we have as Nigerians. But I've come to accept that and just deal with it. My hope is that the way I interacted with that immigration officer in Singapore, or the lady, when I was in China, where a lady was literally searching me and I was just like, guys, a guy should be doing this, and just saw my passport. And I think they call it Liri Lia in Chinese. And there was just that intense scrutiny. You guys, you're doing your job. So hopefully with the way I treated them, they would have at least rethink how they think about Nigerians, and hopefully that would help next person that they will meet.
Mm. Yeah, there's so much to have possibly unpack in that conversation. But I was like, I'm still UK
Yeah.
borders. I don't know how UK borders. And first of all, like the person even in Singapore was nice. They apologized in first. It's like I know it's embarrassing, but I beg we have to do this. It's like that's how it sounded
Yeah.
like.
No, but that's the thing, though. I think once they see your substance, the way they interact with it is very different. And I've got to say this. I mean, we're on a podcast here that for all these countries that have, treated me in a way, but once they talk to me, saw what I was doing and what I, where I was going to, what I was up to, there is a difference in how they talk to me.
Mm,
Um, and that's where, earlier we're talking about the fact that individually we're gonna be fine in Nigeria, but
mhm.
where our issue is gonna be collectively. Now, if you think of an American citizen, just the mere passport or saying an American passport, that means something. Or you see a UK passport, it means something. And that's where your collective conversation comes along. But I would say, I will be fair that whenever, after talking to me, I think they've all been incredibly nice when they saw what I was up to. But just having that passport, is it comes with
Mm. You say green is prosperity. Are you sure?
we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's get into your study abroad experience, basically, right? So you basically founded like Scholarship IQ. Right. But I want to like first of all, like why did you like what is it about you that made you want to like, you know, create this company? And then what is your own experience with study abroad?
Mm. Yeah, I would try, I think that question can be broadly divided into two. And I will try to unpack the two in a very short way as much as possible. And let me just start with myself. And I kind of hinted a bit on this earlier. For me, being able to go to South Korea to study. And by the way, while in South Korea, I
Sorry,
had
let me just for all the some people the K drama is in their head. So as they hear South Korea,
knew you're gonna talk about this.
I just had to like my sister loves like Korean drama. I'm like people like her, right? Go ahead.
No, I knew you're gonna like whenever I said that I spent because I spent 9 years in Korea. People are
Ah,
like,
worse. It's getting
no,
worse.
so what's your favorite Korean movie? Which of the Korean band do you like? I mean, yeah, I think that's a popular that K-pop is a big
Oh,
thing.
but do you watch K drama?
Yes, I do watch K-drama.
But it should hit different for you because I listen to it in the original language and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because I understand, what they're saying. It's kind of different. It's like when I'm watching Chinese and I don't understand, it's probably a different feeling. But yeah. So I was,
Sorry.
yeah, go for it. No worries at all. Yeah. So yeah, well, when for me going to South Korea on a fully funded scholarship, and while I was in South Korea, I still had opportunities to travel to other countries, being funded as well. And as I lived abroad extensively, I started realizing that there are just this vast amount of scholarships that people were not even aware of. And it's interesting that I was researching recently, and I found out that there are over 200 million scholarships annually that are not actually claimed. And most of these scholarships are literally designed for people from developing countries, mostly, whether you're from Latin America or you're from Africa or, certain regions in Asia. And that's kind of where these whole ideas started. And I would say it's been on my mind for the past, I would say probably 8 years or something. But what I was doing over the past 8 years or so was whenever I found these scholarships, I would, help people to get it and they would apply and all that. And so that's kind of how this thing began. And so I just started realizing that the opportunity that I had to come to Korea, how can I create this opportunity for more people?
Mm.
Because what I realized is Nigerians, especially people in my generation, there's just that yearning to go abroad. That yearning, to like experience what's out there. And the reason why most don't get that opportunity, it's not because they are not smart enough, but it's just because they don't have access to the right information and the right resources for them to like take hold of these opportunities. And so that's kind of how this whole idea came into being. And so I was helping people, and initially, I mean, if you go through my profile on LinkedIn, you will see that I started a foundation called Fresta Foundation, which was really designed to help people to find and apply for scholarships. And it actually began as a nonprofit. But whenever we release application for people to apply for this, you just see vast number of people that are applying. And the reality is the resources are very limited. So that's kind of how we changed it into a for-profit and call it scholarship idea. Because having to, that means I would have to employ people will be searching for the scholarships, people will be guiding people, and then people should be rewarded for that hard work. They're using their time. So that's how it became scholarship IQ, and that's how we got here. And essentially what we're trying to do is mainly two things. The first one is help people, like once you come on our platform, it's an AI powered platform where you just enter your profile and that matches you with scholarships all around the globe. And we have right now over 1,000 fully funded and partially funded scholarships on the platform. And so once you just enter your information, you'll be tailored with scholarships that fit you. And where this is, I would say this takes the existing platforms a bit further, is for a lot of the existing platforms that we have right now where scholarships are listed, they just list them, right? And so you have to be the one prowling through the internet saying, okay, which one is right for me? Which one should I apply for? But we just want to make that process seamless, because that's what I did for people. Like I would go ahead and help you search for the scholarships, and I would just, okay, apply for this one, apply for that one. So, let's just take it from the hands of just people doing it to machine doing it for you. So that's kind of the whole the first solution. And the second solution is, it's one thing to find scholarships, but it's another thing to be able to like put together a very outstanding application. And I've been very fortunate that, I've been able to win over $500,000 in scholarship for myself. And I've also been able to create this network of people that have also won massive amounts of scholarships. And so how do we connect you with people that are applying for what you want to apply for? And that will really guide you through the process to ensure that you achieve your ultimate goal, which is, to get a scholarship. And so that's kind of what we do. So it's mainly two solutions. The first one is find scholarship, and the second one is helping the application process. So that's kind of the main gist of what we're trying to solve, this solution we're creating.
So like that's why like I really wanted to have this conversation with you, right? Because like I knew you got like in our first conversations, I mean, how we connected in the first place, right? I knew like, especially we'll talk about like after this session, like I want us to like after now, like I want you to talk about like your own experience in Korea. But like I knew, I mean, that you studied there, and I knew like it was a scholarship that sustained you there. So I mean, so a lot of people get half scholarship, so like quarter scholarship, right? But yours was full. And it's really hard to find like people that get like full scholarships around, like just anywhere, right? I think. I mean, lots of people get partial scholarship, but like full scholarship was and that you're doing this, right? I'm like, okay, he needs to come to Nairobi and talk about this so that other people get and I love that you have created a network out of other people that have also gotten like scholarships, right? Because these experiences are very necessary, like the one-on-ones, kind of like the mentoring and the guiding to getting that strong application. Because as you said, it distinguishes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing that I was speaking with a client just was it 2 days ago, and she's applying for a scholarship in the UK, and she wrote the essay she first wrote. She wrote it the best that she could. But when I read that essay, I was like,
I stay in Nigeria.
The best, but this is not good enough, And to be fair to her and to a lot of people that I've worked with, they've done the best that they could. And that's where it's important to have someone that would, really sit with you and say, you know what, here are things that you could do differently. And one thing that I've always emphasized for me and for all the coaches, on the team is you do not write essay for people. We don't do that. What we do is, for example, when she sent that essay to me, I gave a thorough review to say, hey, here, this particular sentence, you need to change it. This is how I think you should change. This is what I think you should change it to. This paragraph, here are the ideas on what you could do. Then now that gives her the intellectual latitude to say, okay, you know what? Here are what I should be thinking about to move forward, right? So it's like she's hit a ceiling and she doesn't know what to think of again. And so as a coach, what we do is we give you, okay, here is what you need to do next. Here's what you need to be thinking about to improve it. And what I realize is when you push people along that line, the amount of creative thinking that people do is ridiculous. Like it's just so good. It's like they have it in them, but they just needed that person to push them. And that's why I always say, look, I know that the coaching plan is a paid plan, and we've tried to bring it out into two versions. So we have a cheaper one and a bit more expensive one. But if you can make that investment, I don't want to brag, but every single that has gone through us has won the scholarship that they applied for.
Whoa.
No, no, because one thing, if you want to be a coach with me, on my team, you must have been through the process. And part of you being through the process is what they are looking for.
Yeah.
You know what it takes to get there. And to a large extent, I would say that your coach is mainly teaching you how to succeed after getting the scholarship. Because if you're on the coaching plan, I don't want to brag, but give and take, if you do what you're being asked to do, the chances that you're gonna get that scholarship you're applying for. But the conversation now is, how do you succeed after you get the scholarship?
How do you maintain the scholarship?
Exactly. And that's part of what your coach is doing for you. It's helping you get there, because if you can go through the rigor of getting that scholarship through your coach, through the help of your coach, then most likely you'll be fine when you get that scholarship. So and I just see that importance of having that guide. And for me, it's something that I've benefited from myself. And it's something that I just highly encourage people. I know that you might have to pay a token to do that, but make that investment for you to get where you want to get to. It's as good as that.
Okay, nice. I mean, the success rate is very really.
But I've got to say though that using the platform itself, finding scholarship, that one is free of charge. We've kept that free. So signing up, matching yourself with scholarship, that is free of charge for you to use. And it's intentional that way. Because when I think of myself growing up in Ife, right? And not having as much as as I did it. If you're asking me if I had a platform like ScholarshipIQ where I would just be able to input my information and get scholarship matches, it would be a massive help for me. And I think that's something that I want to stay true to.
All right. As an ambassador of Ife, ambassador
Now
scholarship.
that you put it that way.
No, like your school was telling you something all along.
Right.
All right. So just for a lot of people that might be listening to this that are really, really keen on getting scholarships, right? Like, let's just talk about your own personal experience.
Right.
Because you went through a scholarship, you went to a country, like, if there's anything, you're the perfect template, I would say, right? Because you assimilated into the culture, you did many great things there, right? So can you just talk about that as deeply as you can? So probably from your first day, what university you go to, how were hostels how were people in class, how was it coping, then learning the language, then graduating, then after graduation?
Yeah. I think to answer this question, I will use the story that I used when I was back in Korea, when I went on TV to share my story.
You went on TV, hey, Aanu.
No, I will just same story. No, for me, I think initially when I was living in Nigeria, honestly, I didn't think too much about it. It was when I got to the Korea, I realized, I knew, what did you do? Because I was going to a country where English was not, English is not the official language. I knew nobody back in Korea, no relative, and I had 18 or so like that. 18 when I left the country, Nigeria.
First
And
time, yeah.
Sorry?
First time living in Nigeria.
Yeah. First time living in Nigeria, first time taking a plane, flying on the plane. And so the reality, I remember when I was leaving the airport, my dad was actually crying. And when I think about it now, obviously there is that part of my son is going and all that jazz, but there's also, I think there would also be that part of this guy,
where will they send them go?
gonna be all right. And when I was growing up, I used to fall sick a lot, right? And so there's that part of, oh my God, is this guy gonna be all right? So I'm pretty sure that was probably part of what was going through my parents' mind and my siblings as well. But I would say my brother was also very helpful because he he was in the US at the time, and so he would like call the sort of the international student administrator in Korea just to ensure that, hey, is everything ready for my brother, and he wanted to fly down to Korea to be able to, but he, the things came up that he couldn't come, but he wanted to fly down to Korea because this guy is just an 18-year-old kid, coming to a country that has nobody. So, and I remember, you told me to go as deep as possible. When I was leaving the airport in Nigeria, Murtala Airport, I was literally tearing. And one of the guys at the immigration office looked at me and was like, "Why are you crying? Are you not happy you're leaving Nigeria?" And I was like, and I couldn't even respond. And it was, come on, dude, you're not a man. Grow up and stop crying and move on. And I would say that word kind of stuck with me because when I got to Korea, and I realized that I had to learn the language, I had to assimilate, I had to embrace the culture. I just thought, I need to be a man, and a man is, you've got to take up the rest, you got to take responsibilities. And something else that I would share real quick is, so when I got to Korea in February, I believe February 24, 2011. I arrived, 4:30 p.m. I remember
4:30 p.m. Oh my God. Yeah.
Fly Emirates. So
what's your flight code?
I think it's like Q302. I'm not sure.
I remember so well. Oh my God.
I left the job at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I remember so well. So when I got to Korea, the first thing was, as part of the scholarship, we had to learn Korean language. And I remember the first day in class, and the crazy thing was when we're learning Korean language, even the first day in class, our teachers were speaking in Korean. They were not speaking English. So it's like we're in class to learn Korean, and they began speaking in Korean all through. And so the first few weeks was like, where am I? What's going on? It's like, guys, somebody please translate what's going on here to me. But I would say I was also very fortunate with my classmates. They were also fellow international students, so we're able to work together. And I would say I actually repeated my first class because I had no idea what was going on. So
your school, sorry, was it in English or in Korean? Like your degree?
So funny enough, my degree was 50% in Korean and 50% in English. So that's part of why I had to master Korean language, because if I had not, I would have, and thankfully I graduated as the best student in my department. And part of why I was able to achieve that was I really mastered the language to be able to achieve that. So learning the language was definitely a difficulty, but I remember when I failed my first exam and I called my dad. And I was telling my dad like, "Dad, I don't know what's going on here and all that." And I remember my dad and my mom, they were telling like, "Aanu, when you were living in Nigeria, you canceled your admission to OAU. So if you were to leave Korea, what are you coming back to Nigeria to do again?" So, buckle up, get yourself together, and figure it
out. Such a Nigerian parent.
I remember my dad telling me this, story about Peloponnesian War, where the general, they got where they wanted to fight the war, and they burned the ship, and told them that, look, we don't win this. And I was like, well, that was a good motivation at the time. It's like, I think we have to get and fix this. So the language was definitely difficult, but I think again, just remaining, resilient over time. With working hard. Every day I would study for 4 hours after classes to ensure that I was, maintaining the momentum with classes. And whenever I had difficulties with the language, I would reach out to my teachers, and honestly, they're like one of the best people that I've ever met. And they would, help me out, and just again, seeking out that support system to help me. And as I became more comfortable in the language, I started making friends with Koreans, and I did this thing called language exchange, where I would speak in Korean to them, and they would speak in English to me. I would be correcting one another, and I just kept on doing that for a lot of people. And so that kind of helped me to be able to speak better. And obviously, I see I have accent when I'm speaking, but at least as I was doing that, that kind of helped me to, start reducing the level of accent that I would have when speaking in Korean. So I would say that was kind of the momentum that I used, like, for my language. And when I began my degree as well, like I had these incredible classmates that we would, do study sessions together
Yeah.
and, just kind of helped each other out, like understand, explain things to like more of a study group. And that really helped a lot because I had to write some of my exams in Korean as well. And it meant that I had to like really, really understand this thing properly.
Um,
Yeah. so so
um,
that was quite a journey. Now,
yeah.
in terms of the culture, the food aspect,
So
I would
wait,
say
just a question. Were you the only Nigerian in your class? Were you the only also the only black person like in your class or in the university?
funny enough, yes, I was.
The
Um,
university.
no, not my old university, but for my degree,
Wow.
and for my course, for my year, I was the only international student for my year.
You're
The
the
only
only
black
international student.
in my course, for my degree for my class.
So
Yeah.
everybody else was like Korean.
Yeah. So I was very conspicuous in classes, Everybody knew me. Oh, is that everybody? Everybody knew me. But I would say I also received special treatment. I think that also comes with a lot of so an example would be whenever I had issues and I go to my professor, they were always willing to, explain things to me. Because some of them had also studied abroad and they understand what it means to like study abroad in a language that you don't understand very well. So they were always willing to help me. And whenever I was feeling difficulty, they would even ask me questions in class. I know, do you understand? Would you like me to go over it again? So I would say that was, that was kind of helpful. Then I always in the
Lecturer's
front of
pet.
sorry,
You became the teacher's pet.
I sort of, I wouldn't say that.
Yes.
But I would say that also because because one thing that I noticed about Korea is if you're showing these sort of I want to learn, just
I'm
attitude.
interested. Yeah.
I'm interested, and you're embracing the culture. Like you're not like, hey, because I'm the only foreign student in class. Let me speak in English. You were trying to speak in Korean. I remember there was a presentation that we had, and my friend was like, I know you don't have to speak in Korean, just speak. I was like, no, 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 I want to speak in Korean. He was really, really happy to see me do that.
Mm.
It's just not feeling like, okay, because I know you like me now, I want to like, nah, 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 that's not my, and that's kind of why they were willing to like help a lot, to at least help me like understand and progress academically. Now in terms of food, I would say I never had issue with food, because Korean food is very spicy, and as Yoruba,
Yoruba boy, it's like
very, very,
match made in heaven.
it's very spicy too. It was exactly much. And I remember when I got my first meal was kimchi. Like
Yeah.
that's the typical Korean. I really enjoyed it. So I think that's part of what really helped me to assimilate Korean culture very well, which was I really enjoyed the food. And then I was very fortunate. I met like incredible that I still like lifelong friends up to today. But I would say one thing that stuck out in Korea was so I was in Suwon before I moved to Seoul later. And there were times that when I walked on the street, right? A lot of like young students will be looking at me.
Mhm.
Now I don't think that I think that I think there are a lot of international students now in Suwon that's every you just see people around. And there was a time that a kid came to me and
Mhm.
said, I was wearing a turtleneck, and he said, are you a female or a male? And I was like, that's weird. Like, do I but I because he's never seen a
Yeah.
foreign person before. And I remember my brother came to visit me in Korea and we were having that conversation and he said something very, very wise. He said, I know, think back when we were all in Ife and you see a white person come around and walk on the street in Ife. What would be your reaction? And I was like, wow, that's true.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if you've been to Ife before, but I mean, Lagos, you see, if you go to certain areas in Lagos, you see the white people and non-Nigerians. But in Ife, we're all black people.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you lost? What are you doing here?
I know it's like, so what's going on here? And that kind of helped me develop that level of empathy that and to be fair, all these people that looked at me in a certain way, it was not. I stopped thinking that maybe it's racism. Like honestly, I would not say that. I think it was more of like that level of curiosity. Like oh my gosh, there's a black person here. There's a North Korean, and so that kind of shaped how I interacted with it. So when a kid looked like me, like, oh my gosh, you're a foreigner. I remember one story like that where a kid was like, oh, mom, a foreigner, a foreigner.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, a Korean, a Korean, you know. So just make fun out of
Yeah.
out of the story. So that kind of like changed my mindset, and it was that wisdom that he gave to me. So I would say having that mindset of embracing the culture, the food, and having really good people around, that sort of helped me to like just embrace the culture. And what I would say, in addition to that, was as a result of really embracing the country and the culture and all that, during I believe my second year, I decided I wanted to do student politics.
Mm. Your second year.
Yeah, I think my second year. I think my
Okay.
second. I said
Sorry,
I
I
was
just
like,
wanted to like know, like you said you moved from Suwon to so was that part of the program or you like changed universities in between?
oh, that was when I was doing my master's degree. That was when I moved to Suwon.
Oh, okay. So your bachelor's was where?
It was in Suwon at Aju University.
Okay, okay.
University. I went to Seoul to Korea University where I met Professor Potter that introduced
Yeah,
us.
yeah. Okay.
That's in Seoul. So during my undergrad I did student politics both undergrad and master's degree. So for my undergrad, I think my second year I was like I was in the dormitory. We had more than 2,000 residents in the dormitory,
Yeah.
and I just saw that I just wanted to increase the conversation going on between domestic and international students. And I saw myself like, I could speak English, I could speak Korean. I could serve as that bridge and I could like come up with ideas of what we could do. And I remember first telling one of my friends, and they were like, I know, why do you want to do it? Like, I have to do everything in Korean. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I mean, the worst scenario is I would lose the election and I'll probably be embarrassed for a few weeks or something, but I'll move on. I eventually went ahead to do it, and again, embracing the culture, embracing the people, I ended up winning the election, and I was the first international student in the history of Korea to
Of
contest
course.
for that position and win it. I'm
Just
not
the
sure, but that's
accolades and accolades and accolades.
and again, it goes to the point of just embracing your journey as it comes.
Mm.
And that was just an incredible experience because being able to serve as the president and my team and all that, it was a great experience to be able to like do what I wanted to do. So I initiated this thing called one-on-one language exchange program,
Mhm.
where we're pairing one Korean with an international student,
Yeah.
and they would like learn each other's culture and each other's language and
Yeah.
all that. So, and again, I was very fortunate with the people that were like the administrators in the dormitory,
Mhm.
because they really supported me. Like everything that I was pushing for, they were just like, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That really helped me. And yeah, so that was what led me to being featured on on the TV, on radio stations, and on in newspapers and all that. So yeah,
I can
so
remember
that's that about all that.
such a fantastic story, by the way. Like every time you tell me, I'm like, oh my god. I can remember there's I think I don't know if he's a YouTuber or an actor. There's one black guy like that. I think he's Ghanaian or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So was he there when you were there as well, or he's just
I
recent?
think he came to Korea a year. I think he was my senior. He came to Korea a year before me.
Oh,
Yeah, he's and he was he was featured on TV, and I think he graduated. I think maybe a year or 2 years before me. I'm not sure. Yeah, but
oh.
he's a big deal in Korea.
Yeah, he is. Like I'm like, how
Yeah.
is this guy so popular like this? I'm like, what's going on here?
No, and it's a testament to you embracing the culture.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, let's look at it. Being Nigerians, right? And there's this, you know, Asian or Caucasian person that comes
Yeah.
to the Nigeria, embrace the culture, start speaking Yoruba or start speaking in Igbo or Hausa. There's just gonna be that natural thing of, oh my gosh, that's adorable. How can we support this person? Well, I hope we know. It's like, I don't know, it's just when you embrace other people's culture, their identity, who they are. I don't know. It's just, things seem to work out. Yeah. And I
No.
think that's what I always tell my clients, that whether you're going to the UK, obviously being in the UK, in some ways it's more convenient because everything is English and all that. But again, if you really want to prosper or make something meaningful,
Mhm.
in the UK, you've got to, you've got to embrace the culture. Enjoy having English breakfast, enjoy having beer, even though it's the alcohol level is more higher. And
Yeah,
I think this is for you, being in Spain, you've got,
yeah,
embracing the culture, and I'm pretty sure how much that has really helped you to
yeah,
achieve everything you've done so far.
yeah. I think language is such a I'm sad because I wasn't able to like learn not able, like I was lazy, so I didn't learn Catalan, right? I was also because like I knew Spanish and like you can survive with Spanish like in Catalonia. But then like I think for me it was just there was it was an international course. So it was in English, people like courses in English, right? People from all over the world talking, right? But like you could just see amongst the international students, I was just like a bit different because I spoke Spanish, right? So like I was just talking to everybody, like just having that conversation. So we're like,
Uh,
sitting down right in the cafeteria or something, like speaking in Spanish, right? Everybody else would be English, but then like when the Spanish people now get up and go, right? I can go with them as well. And like I'll be part of the conversation. And when the
Wow.
international guys go, I'm like, let's go too. And I'll speak English with them and go with the conversation, right? But like Catalan was also like a very solid language in my course that like I did I
Mhm.
knew I felt like I would have gotten like thicker into the skins of my classmates, but like I was like so much workload, and I was like, it was just that I still regret to this day. I actually regret it. Because it's a gateway. Like language is a gateway to a person's life, a
Absolutely,
person's like
absolutely,
culture.
absolutely.
It's so beautiful,
I
actually.
think you speak Spanish, and that's incredible. So anywhere you are right now in Spain,
Yeah,
you can interact with
you can't
people.
kidnap me.
And even imagine walking on the street, and this is the incredible thing, right? Like when you go to a country where English is not their official language, and you
Yeah.
get to meet like the older generation there, and you speak in their language to them, the way they embrace you, Musa, it's incredible. I remember going to visit my friend's family one time before. And so when we got there, the dad and the mom, like they were not sure if they should, because they couldn't speak in English. And
Mhm.
so immediately I got there and I greeted them in Korean and I was asking them, and they were like the atmosphere just like changed. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, you can speak. And they just started like talking, introducing me to this, they brought their pictures, and it's just like language, the power that it has, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think the culture. So what I always tell people that I work with is it's good that you're traveling abroad, but make sure you embrace the culture. It's gonna do so much for you. Even if it's English language that they speak, what's their value system? If you embrace all that, it's gonna pave so much way for you.
Yeah. I think like for a lot of Nigerians, just I've traveled to certain countries and I see that like Nigerians make it a habit to like be comfortable, right? Like but like be comfortable in the Nigerianness. So they'll like literally move to where the Nigerians located, something like that, right? Instead
I
of going
never,
opposite
I
direction.
never did that. Yeah, I never did that. And I
I
think
mean, you don't even have the choice. Where do you want to go?
no, but what some people were actually doing was, so there's this place in Seoul called Itaewon, and that's where you have a lot of internationals, like a lot of foreign people and all that. What a lot of people used to do was they would actually live. For example, when I was doing my master's degree, they would live around that neighborhood because it's more quote unquote convenient. And every weekend, those that were in Suwon, they would go there every weekend, like chill and all that. But for me, weekends, I'll be, I'll be doing my language exchange because I just, yeah, yeah, I'm in a new country. I've got to embrace it.
Yeah. All right. I just want us to talk about like the political race that you're in, just to like understand because it's the school, right? It's the whole school. Or is it like your department?
Oh, it's the old school.
Like so. I mean, include engineering, include sciences, include everything. Like I'm just trying to grasp how big that is in like Korean, right? And that you have to manage probably like every other responsibility and everybody under you, and they report to you, right? Like, just
Right.
can you talk about that experience and what it was like for you?
Um, I would say what I would start by saying is I'm very fortunate to have met great leaders. Like people that they really showed me what leadership is all about.
Mm.
I would say that as whether it's my dad or my mom or my siblings. And I think that really helps and it keeps helping me in time when I'm in leadership positions. I would say initially it was tough. for as much as I'm comfortable speaking in Korean, I'm not a native speaker. So there are still certain nuances that I don't get immediately, that takes me some time to get. There are certain things that I want to express that I can't fully express as much as I want to. And as a leader, one of the big things that you have to be good at is being able to communicate. Whatever, because you are the one with the vision, right? And it's about you being able to communicate that vision to people that that are following you. So I would say initially the first few months were really difficult. But again, I was fortunate with my team, my VP, like she's a Korean. And so sometimes I would have meetings with her one-on-one, just to be able to let her to try to explain the ways I could, what I was trying to achieve on the team. And she would now, from a linguistic standpoint, she would work me through the way I could express it or the way I could explain it, and that kind of helped. So I would say that was probably the challenge, being able to effectively communicate everything that I wanted to talk about to the team. But the upside to it was that being able to have an idea of where things could be and pushing the team towards that, I think that was probably the satisfying part of it. But overall, one thing that I remember right now was when I was the president, they were building this whole new dormitory, this new, and I think it was meant to be occupying because they wanted, not then we were about 2,000 plus. Now they wanted to increase to maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. So they were building this whole building that would occupy maybe close to 1,000 people, and part of my responsibility was designing what should the room look like, my input and all that. And it was just so much joy, not seeing that everything that I suggested that we do was implemented. And it's so much fun that to be part of your legacy, that guys, you may not know me, but what you have enjoyed right now, I built that. It's so much joy to see that. And so yeah, I would say that's probably the satisfying, the gratifying part of things, for me. But it was fun. It was fun, but it was challenging at the same time. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
It does. All right. So as we begin to just wrap up, so again, just to the services of ScholarshipIQ, right? Can you just state it again for everybody, stage by stage? What is the maybe basic, the premium, what is it? What services do you offer to people, both free and paid?
Right. So right now it's mainly 3 plans. So the first plan is matching plan. And that matching plan, what it's all about is it's what I talked a bit about earlier, where you come to the platform and you enter your information, your profile, and that matches you with scholarship. It's from the name. And we have a growing database of over 1,000 fully funded and partially funded scholarships that match you, that you get matched with. That's number one. Then the second thing, still on the matching plan, is even if you come to our platform and you don't find a scholarship, so we've created a form for you to fill, so that once you fill out, within 48 hours, my team is going to go ahead and look for that scholarship and upload it for you. So just to ensure, because our goal is we're trying to build the largest yet personalized scholarship hub, that whatever scholarship you're looking for, you can find it on our platform. And there's also a filter function that we're working on, so that once you get your own personal dashboard where you save all the scholarships that you've actually found, and you get track it, you get to track, and it links you directly to the application portal where you can apply for that particular scholarship. So that's the matching plan. So again, if you're looking for scholarships and you don't know where to start, that's what we are for. It's come to a platform and it's going to put you through where how you're going to start. Now the second plan that we have is called the essential plan. And for that one, what it's all about is as we talk to our users, we realize that there are those that they've already finished writing their essays, their personal statement, their CV, their research proposal, but they just need someone to help them look over it to ensure that, okay, is this thing good enough or not? And that's what the essential plan is for. So once you come on our platform and you click the essential plan, so that one is a paid plan, but how much you're going to pay depends on the number of days that you give to your coach to get back to you and the number of words. So that's what determines the price. And it's as cheap as 9,750 naira, like I said, literally. like 9,750 naira. And that's, it's by design that way. So that's the second plan. And it's mainly to have our coaches review your essays for you and give you feedback that you can work on to improve your essays. Now, the last plan, which is the most comprehensive plan that we have, it's called the premium plan. And that one is, if you don't know where to start at all, and you need someone to guide you from the beginning to the end of your application, that's what that is for. So from the stage of you deciding what should I apply for, which school should I apply for, like your coach is going to work with you every step of the way. So your coach works with you to decide the application. And when you're gathering your documents, your coach helps you look through everything to ensure that what you are submitting is the accurate document. Then going back to your essay writing, your coach is going to guide you towards writing a very outstanding essay. Then also in terms of if you need to do interviews, your coach is going to support you in that process as well. Just anything that you need on that journey to get to the final destination of getting that scholarship, your coach is going to work with you to achieve that. And that's just those are the three main plans that we have for all our users.
Okay, so matches, enter.
No, matching plan, essential plan,
essential plan, and premium.
And premium plan. That's right.
All right. Perfect. So to close out, what's the dream for Scholarship IQ? Like, you said, I think I heard small of it as we were just talking now, but like, what do you guys want to achieve in full form?
Right. No, at the end of the day, and I tell my team this a lot, I think my goal is to have someone like me growing up in Ife, anywhere in Nigeria or across Africa, right? That they are looking for scholarships and they don't know where to begin. And they really want that personalized direction rather than just, surfing through information and don't know where to begin. Scholarship IQ, we want to be that place. That you come to a platform and it really guides you through your process from the beginning to the end to ensure that, because again, like I said earlier, there are millions of scholarships that are unclaimed globally. And to ensure that we position you in a place that can actually claim part of the scholarships for you to achieve your academic and career objectives. So I would say that would be, that would be the ultimate goal. That a kid wakes up in in Kaduna and says, man, I want to begin the process, and it's okay, go to ScholarshipIQ. It's gonna take you through your process. That's kind of go-to plan for us, and that's what I'm pushing. My team and I we're pushing ourselves to achieve together. So yeah.
All right. And then finally, what is your Nigerian dream? If there's a Nigerian dream.
Well, I think the first thing I would say is we have election coming up next year, and for all those that are listening, please let's be very careful on who we choose. And I say this from a place of privilege, knowing that I have the luxury of saying, I have food to eat every day, and it's easier to think okay, I want the biggest ideas for Nigeria. But what I do hope is, regardless of where we are in life, from an economic standpoint, that we're able to think around, my dream is that we think about what is best for us as a collective. And I keep saying this a lot, that as an individual, I think we're all going to be fine as a country. But the issue is, as a collective, where are we heading to? So my dream for Nigeria at the end of the day is 2023, we make the right decision in who we pick. To be the president and to steer the course of the country. And I would say the second dream would just be that we live in a country where Nigeria is a respected brand. That when you say I'm a Nigerian, like you say I'm an American, or I'm a British, everybody's like, okay, that means something good. To a large extent, that's just my dream for the country. I think country's about branding too. If you say I'm from Singapore, it means something. That's my dream for Nigeria.
All right. Thank you so much, Aanu, for your time. Thank you for this conversation, for what you're building. Thank you so much because it's going to help literally a lot of people, especially in this season of Nigeria. Honestly, a lot of people are looking for this kind of opportunities, and you're providing it in such a personalized way, right? For people who remove a lot of headache. And just hearing that a lot of people that come and actually like are coached by your company, right, get to like attain the scholarship at the end of the day. Like it's also like very I'm sure like for someone listening, like it's very encouraging as well. So they know they can trust, okay, if I go to this person, my chances are high. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing for future generations as well, and for taking on this journey because not for the weak.
We're trying to push it forward. Hopefully, we'll pass the baton, later.
All right.
And just to finish up real quick though, and I think for anybody out there that are seeking to apply for scholarships or for admission, three things I always say is if you're in school, make sure you keep maintaining a very high GPA. There is no two way about it. The higher your GPA, the better your chances of you getting a scholarship. Then the second thing that I would say is keep experiencing things that would make your personal statement a very, very outstanding one. The best best stories that I've read are ones that they don't believe in one way. Like they've had different experience that has really led them to whatever thing that they want to do. And that means being purpose driven. And so please keep pursuing a particular purpose that you're passionate about, and that would eventually help you write a very good story that you'll be comfortable with, and that would really help you down the road. And the last thing is network. Make sure you're networking with the right people that would help you write outstanding personal letters of recommendation. That would really, it's one thing to say, oh, Aanu is an outstanding student, he achieved this particular thing, achieved that. But it's another thing to say, in my years of teaching or in my years of experience, I've met thousands of students, but Aanu stands out as one of the best of them. Like it's a different thing, and that is not going to come from someone that on the surface level. That comes from deep relationships. So please, network and meet the right people, and keep working hard. Keep striving, and I do believe that once we keep working out and we keep doing what we need to do, the stars do align at some point.
All right. Such a wonderful end note. It's like drop mic. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Nice. Thank you so much, Aanu, for your time.
No worries. Thanks for
you.
having me.
No problem. Thank you for everybody listening. So, just check out scholarshipiq.com, right? That is the domain.
Yeah, scholarship-iq.com.
All right.
Yeah. But we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, on all social medias for the people to follow us. And once you go to a platform, if you have anything that you're struggling with, you can actually call us or drop us a message and we'll respond immediately. We have someone on standby that is doing that.
Okay, excellent. And if somebody wants to reach out to you personally, like what's the best medium to reach out to you?
I would say the best medium is LinkedIn. Okay. So I already closed my Twitter account. Facebook, I rarely go to Facebook. I still do have the account but I would say LinkedIn is probably the best. I'm always on LinkedIn every day.
All right, no problem. So you guys know how to reach out to ScholarshipIQ. You guys know how to reach out to Aanu. If you're looking for scholarship, I still don't find it's your fault at this point. It's like
now you sabi.
Now you sabi that chapa plan. All right. Thank you everybody for listening to this conversation. Hope that you enjoyed it, and see you in the next conversation.